For many years, we lived in a small town in northern Mexico called Cadereyta, Jimenez. It had a population of over 120,000 people and was an hour from the big bustling city of Monterrey and only about 2 hours from the Texas border. Cadereyta was where my wife grew up, where we were married, where 4 of our children were born, and where one of them was buried. For almost 10 years, we lived on a ranch about 10 miles from town. Several times each week, we would drive back and forth for church and ministry activities, shopping, and running other errands. Sometimes we would see some very bad car accidents on the road. On one occasion, we came upon the scene of a serious accident, a head-on collision. Broken glass and parts of cars were scattered across the road, and both vehicles were completely totaled. We pulled over and stopped. The crash must have happened just minutes or even moments before. People were still in the crashed cars. Some were unconscious or worse. A couple was trapped in the wreckage, pinned in by the twisted metal. We approached to see if there was anything we could do to help. It was impossible to open any of the doors. Within a few minutes, we heard the sound of a siren. A police car arrived on the scene, and the cops set up cones around the accident site to divert passing traffic. Soon the city ambulance came speeding in with flashing lights and blaring siren. We all breathed a collective sigh of relief. Help had finally arrived. The ambulance pulled up and parked. The driver got out, a middle-aged man in civilian clothes. He walked over the wreckage and looked around, then walked back to the ambulance, leaned on it, and lit up a cigarette. I couldn't believe my eyes. I went over to him. "Hey, those people are hurt. Shouldn't we help them?" "I'm just the driver. I would take them to the hospital, but they're pinned in the wreckage." "Yes, I know. Can't we at least try to get them out?" "No, I don't have any equipment for that. We'll just wait for a unit to come from Monterrey." "That's an hour away." "That's all I can do," he said. "Well, do you at least have a first aid kit? Maybe we can help the injured victims." "No, I don't have anything like that. Like I said, I'm just a driver." This man was the official ambulance driver for a city of over 120,000 people, and he worked alone and didn't even have a Band-Aid on board the ambulance. We waited as he wandered around with his hands in his pockets while people were bleeding and dying just a few feet away. We could hear the victims groaning, but we were all helpless to help them. This impacted me deeply. What if we had been in that accident? That could have been my family injured and trapped in that wreckage. Time seemed to pass in slow motion. It was so hot under the blazing sun. Finally, a modern ambulance from Monterrey arrived with an actual crew of EMTs and even the jaws of life. They extricated the victims, some of whom appeared to be alive, and some who clearly were not. I was shaken and visibly upset. There had to be a better way. Right then and there, I decided to do something about the non-existent emergency medical system of Cadereyta. Over the following days and weeks, I learned that the ambulance driver was actually just a volunteer. He was on call to drive the ambulance to accidents and transport the injured to the local hospital. It was rumored that he often charged for his services when he could. I also found out that he himself suffered from epilepsy and had had a few accidents with the ambulance when he had a seizure behind the wheel. Since he had the keys to the city ambulance and was the official driver, he also used the vehicle for his own personal use. On weekends, he was often seen selling tamales out of the back of the ambulance to support the rescue squad, which was just him. Something was seriously wrong with this picture. In another post, I will continue the story and share how the Lord used this tragic experience to make a difference by calling me and others to start the first real, official emergency medical system in the town of Cadereyta, El Grupo AMAR. Thank you so much for listening to this true story from Memoirs of Mexico. If you enjoyed this story, or if it was a blessing to you, please feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. That would be a blessing to me. I upload a new true story every day. If you like to read, you can also order Memoirs of Mexico in paperback or ebook on Amazon.com. There's a link in the description. Thanks again for listening.